Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if it is possible for you to have your camera on, I would really appreciate that. I love to be able to see you. Hello, Mama Angelique. Hello, beautiful Karen. Hi, gorgeous. Hello, Kay. Hello, beautiful ones. Hi, Jordan. So good to see you. And if, yes, I say, so the reason I am keen to have the camera on is we're going to be quite interactive today. So I have a plan, always have a plan, but I was struck by inspiration last night. And so part of what I would like to be able to offer today as a demonstration of understanding the laws of shadow work is to be of service to you. So if you're willing, I'll be seeking volunteers to do some shadow work evaluations with you, specifically, individually, to demonstrate the work of how we work with the shadow in the Institute and its role in the development of intuition. So if you do feel like that's something that you'd like to receive, obviously there'll be a limit to how many we can do in the hour that we have. You will obviously need to have your camera on for that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, if you're not in a space where you can have your camera on, and there will be a few other conditions I'll ask to check in with you regarding the safety to do the work with you. But certainly, if you can have the camera on, that would be wonderful. So I'm going to just change my view so it's just me for a moment, and then we'll be doing more of a group thing. But thank you for being here. This is the Laws of Shadow Work, and it is such a joy to lightly and joyfully bring you my understanding of the underworld of our being, of shadow work, of fear, because in my methodology, it is not something to avoid. It is not something to be afraid of. It is, in fact, the key to our freedom to know how to safely work with our shadows. And there's a lot of talk of shadow work in the world. I think it's quite a hot topic in the spiritual world right now. And certainly, I think there is good reason for that. The avoidance of the darkness of the shadow of the underworld is where we create a culture of spiritual bypassing, where we're just using our spiritual tools to avoid reality, to avoid suffering. And that does not fly in my methodology, because there are laws, and there are laws that shape the functioning of the cosmos that are now confirmed by quantum physics, but have been known by the ancients for thousands of years, multiple civilizations. And we can learn how to safely and productively work with fear. So I'm going to talk to you about my laws, the rules that we follow in the Institute when I am training my incredible students to be fear hunters, which is really the work that we do in service to others, and give you an understanding of how you can apply this in your own life. And certainly, if you are someone who works professionally with intuition in any capacity, these laws are vital to an ethical, grounded, and safe exploration of the shadow in ourselves and in others. So does all of that sound like fun? As I say, I get very excited about meeting fear and shadows. I'm like, yes, there's a chance to get to know ourselves better. And it's not something that I want us to be afraid of. As I said, if you've just arrived, if you do want to be selected as a volunteer to receive an evaluation from me, I will need you to have your camera on. Completely understand if that's not the right time for you right now, but just so you know that will be a requirement. And so grateful to see you all. Thank you to the 100 people who registered for this training. It is part of the 10th birthday celebrations of the Institute. I began the Institute back in 2014 with my beloved mama, Angelique, who is here with me now. And it is quite a moment to celebrate, because Well, there's many reasons, but the longevity of our work is so important to me, because to me that suggests that we are doing the work to create not only a cultural shift in our industry towards a really ethical, grounded gold standard of working with intuition to revolutionize the conversation, but that we're here for the long haul, right? So that your training with us means something. A lot of people come and go. There's a lot of ideas that don't go further for whatever reason. And yet I was reflecting on this yesterday. 10 years is nothing, right? So we're thinking about tapping. Angelique is a tapping expert. She studied with all of the greats in the world, and tapping really began in the 70s. But it's only what, say the last decade, Mama, that it's been taken seriously as a global practice that is legitimate to be used in mental health and well-being, and in our context, spiritual work. And that gave me a great sense of encouragement, right? I don't want to be a flash in the pan, Johnny come lately, right? It's okay if it takes us 20, 30 years for this work to be mainstreamed, but it's the work we're doing now that will ensure that everybody will know the name of the method, of the way we work with fear, of our intuition revolution, and that we will mainstream the intuitive intelligence that we all possess. And it's okay if it takes time. So 10 years is amazing, but I'm excited to hang out with you at our 30th birthday. That'll be a real party. So if you are safe and comfortable to do so, we're going to begin, as we always do, going inwards. And I'm just going to tell you why. It feels really good. We're going to, create coherence in our energy as a group, those who are here now, those who are listening back later. But we're also going to be going through very simple processes of nervous system regulation, of creating safety in the body, of creating a sense of that harmonic frequency or resonance between us all that ensures that we can do this work at the highest level. And so even though it may just feel really lovely and you'll be like, cool, that's nicer than when I came in 5 minutes ago, frenetic and crazy and rushing from one thing to the next, we are actually really leaning into the foundation of how we can safely participate in meeting and releasing subconscious fear, of going to the underworld of our being. It's not work that can be done from the beta or high beta brainwave state, from dysregulated nervous system. We must be willing to create the conditions in our life to bring ourselves into that nervous system flexibility, to be able to move out of beta into alpha, and then even into theta, where we start to access the subconscious. So these practices that I do at the beginning of every session are not just so you feel nice and relaxed, but actually to create the conditions that allow us to do the deep work. So if you're safe and comfortable to do so, closing down the eyes or softening the gaze. And as you do that, just begin to notice your beautiful body. Perhaps for the first time today, consciously withdrawing your attention from the superficial world and honoring what the body's feeling without judgment. Perhaps you want to roll the neck or shoulders, do some side bends, which are really beautiful for nervous system regulation. Maybe you just need to get a little more comfortable in your seat, honoring whatever is true for you right now without judgment. And with our eyes closed, let's begin to deepen the breath in whatever way feels right for you. Perhaps breathing a little more deeply in and out through the nose. You might like to inhale with me now, filling the belly, retaining the breath for a moment, And then sighing out through the mouth with an audible sigh or a shush, letting go, letting go, letting go. Maintaining fully conscious breathing in whatever way is right for you right now. With our eyes closed, our breath deepened, we're slowing down our heart rate, our brainwave state. And attuning to our interoception, perceiving our inner state of being. You might like to bring 2 fingers or the palm of the hand to the center of the chest now, creating a connection to your heart, both the cosmic and anatomical heart is the seat of your intuition. It's part of your body that produces the largest electromagnetic field of any part of your body. With that touch, feeling perhaps you're melting from your cranial brain to your heart brain. Breathing yourself into presence. With every exhale, letting go of something that doesn't need to be here right now. We offer all the karmic fruits of our time together to you, dear God, to the sublime, the divine, the eternal. Bringing the palms together in Anjali Mudra, prayer position at the heart. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land wherever we're located. For me, that is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And in honoring First Nations people and those who know to tread lightly upon the earth, we are connecting to the earth herself. Feeling that sense of unconditional love from the Great Mother, grounding, nurturing. Anchoring the energies into the heart. And we dedicate our practice now and always to the liberation of all sentient beings everywhere. May peace prevail on earth as it prevails within us. And so it is. And it is so. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And here you can gently bring some movement to the body, perhaps rubbing the palms together, taking your time to open your eyes whenever feels right. Let's just start tapping on the side of the hand here as I'm talking. That's all you need to do. If that feels uncomfortable, you can tap at the high heart center, or you could tap on the side of fingers where the nail bed and the finger meet. You can do it very lightly, very slowly. And as I'm going to say a few things, you can just keep tapping. With this tapping, we are continuing to create that nervous system regulation, calming the amygdala in the brain, releasing stress from the body, producing piezoelectricity that is sent throughout the premovascular system of the body. This system, the premovascular system, again, has been known by other names in different times and places for a long time, and now Western science has evidence for it. And when we tap like this, we're creating the conditions for safety in the body to do the deep work of going to the underworld of our being, right? We don't have to have an issue in mind. We don't have to use any setup statements. We can just create, as Angelique would say, you're creating like a reservoir of like resilience. You're giving yourself this kind of cup filling so that when difficult things might arise, you've got this advantage because you've already created the conditions in your body of knowing what safety feels like. So the very first law of shadow work in the Institute, in our method of training intuition, is that we must create the conditions of safety in the body. A dysregulated nervous system, a stressed out mind cannot receive safely this space of going into the underworld, of meeting fear, of releasing fear. So when we make it really normal to begin our day, perhaps with 5 minutes of pranayama, of chanting, of meditation, of prayer, of dedication, of tapping, we're already increasing our capacity and our resilience to meet the more challenging aspects of our life with ease and grace. But when we do this work with intention to proactively go towards our shadows and our fears, we're even better set up, right? We're not waiting for the tsunami of life to come and derail us and then going, okay, I'll do something because everything's so terrible. We're proactively going towards fear. And that is what being a fear hunter in the Institute means, right? We are not waiting for something bad to happen to just fall to our knees and like, so often we'll pray to God, right? When things are at their worst. What if we felt safe enough to actively, proactively, lovingly go towards our fears and our shadows so that we're not waiting for the big external event to derail us? So the first law is this: we must be willing to create the conditions in our life of nervous system regulation, of stillness, of silence, of solitude, so that there is safety to meet our fear. I want to mention something really important here about fear, and that is the difference between physiological fear and psychological fear. If you are in danger, if there is a tiger chasing you, or you are living in an abusive relationship, or there is some kind of threat to your safety in any way, it's entirely appropriate that you have the impulse to safety, to protect yourself, to run, to take the adrenaline and the cortisol and get yourself out of the situation, right? We are not trying to calm ourselves to stay in the face of danger. There's a wonderful quote, trust in God and tie up your camel, right? And this sounds really obvious, right? If you're in danger, you're going to get out of that situation because life protects life. We feel, we know, even sometimes before the threat shows itself, that there is danger and we need to get ourselves out. Now, that all sounds very reasonable, except if you've been conditioned to not trust that fear response, to believe that it is okay to stay in situations where your body is screaming at you, get out, get out. because it would be impolite, or you might have to end a marriage, and what would you do? Or you might have to acknowledge that you've changed and this is no longer the right environment for you. And this is where we move into psychological fear, right? So very often we condition ourselves to stay in situations that are no longer right for us. And yes, sometimes that means downright dangerous for our mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual health, because we use our spiritual tools to suppress or numb that fear response. I don't want to feel fear. Everything's happy, happy, light, light. Like, I just want to feel high vibes. Let's just go towards the angels and avoid any reality, right? So we disassociate. We use our spiritual tools to disassociate from reality. Anyone done that? I've absolutely freaking done it. Yeah. Thank you, Karen, for being so brave. I have done it too. Like, it is actually quite a normal thing. It's like, I so often meet people who are in really terrible, unhealthy relationships who use their tools daily not to increase their intuition, meet their fears, and free themselves to their greatest life, but to tolerate the asshole they're married to. I can just get through another day because I know how to tap, and I can just, tune out my meditation and play my chanting and just burn my incense and pretend that that villain doesn't live in my environment. And that is not okay with me, right? When we open to the power of the shadow work, we will meet truth. And that truth will guide us to change, because change is evolution, and evolution is what we sign up to the spiritual path for. And if we are not safe in our bodies, then that will feel overwhelming, right? If we have unmet fears of abandonment, of rejection, of lack, of not knowing how we would possibly live on our own. So the asshole in the bedroom is better than being on our own, right? All of our subconscious fear programs unmet create the reasons why we use our spirituality to try to numb ourselves rather than to wake ourselves up. And so everything that I've created in the Institute is about our willingness to go into the fear and ask for its wisdom. Fear is a form of intuition. The truth is, in the first law, the first immutable law that governs all functioning of the cosmos, immutable meaning it will never change, all is one. Light to dark, underworld to heaven, all of this is a spectrum of oneness. Darkness and fear are not the opposite of light and high vibe. It is all one. If we think of it far more efficiently as a circle, we can then lovingly feel fear, see fear, and not be afraid of it, because we recognize it is part of our intuitive intelligence guiding us home to our truth. The courage that it takes to sit in the discomfort, however, is one that in our floppy spiritual world, where we're told that our spirituality should always please us, should always make us feel good, should always bring us the hot guy or the new car or the money or the whatever, we run from the discomfort. We run from the fear, and the fear is the intuition. This is shadow work. It is that willingness to sit in the darkness, the discomfort, and ask with curiosity and love, what do you want me to know? Right? This is the courage that it takes to truly use our spiritual tools, not to bypass our own reality and try to weave some fantasy around us, but to acknowledge that the first law tells us all is one. All is of the mind of God. It's not more godly if it feels like great, light, high vibing, easy. It's not less godly if it feels heavy. And let me tell you, if you do this work long enough, and I know I have some of my very senior graduates here who can affirm this, fear will rise and you will go, yes, cool, right. It will feel light. It won't feel heavy. It's not the weight of the load. It's the way that you carry it. And if you believe, Leonie, I was thinking of you, babe, when Leonie says 100%, and she's been doing this work for such a long time. If you believe that God is only in the fluffy clouds and the angels and the ecstatic experiences, you're missing the freaking point. God whatever word you use for that, is in everything. And fear, shadows, darkness are just God in another form, tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, you forgot your true nature. Now, ultimately, what that means is the end of judgment. We stop judging our lives as good or bad, events as good or bad. And the end of judgment is freedom, the peace in everything. This is happening. Okay. This is happening. Okay. There's no assessment of that's good, that's bad. And that release of that fear, that release of that judgment means that we can be open and curious and evolving through everything that God puts in front of us. And God's very efficient, right? God will use whatever is easiest to awaken us and put it right in front of us. Because we are so naturally primed towards the negative, usually things that we would judge as dark and bad and wrong are the things that get our attention first. Yeah. Now, there's all reasons for that. The brain evolved that way as a way for us to survive, right? So those of us sitting here now are the survivors of the ones who were best at detecting danger in the environment. Those happy dudes who were just like wandering around, not noticing anything, got eaten by the tigers and they didn't get to procreate. And so we inherit a brain that is primed towards detecting danger. But in an age where we are actually safer, healthier, richer, more abundant than ever before, our brains are still responding as though we're in danger of a tiger about to eat us. Yeah. So let's go back quickly, and then I'm going to do some evaluations to show you this work and for you to have an embodied experience. And as you are watching people receiving, I want you to know that the benefit is not for the individual alone, because first law, all is one. The first rule of law of shadow work is there must be safety. There must be safety in the body. We have to be willing to create the conditions of regulation. So that means I can only ask for volunteers who know that they're in a good place with their mental health right now, that they got enough sleep last night, that they aren't intoxicated, and that they feel safe in themselves, regulated enough to do this deep work with me. That means that, again, like in the world generally, we are not going to do this kind of work with people who are in active trauma, people who are living in a war zone, people who are moving through great, truly dangerous situations. It's a freaking privilege to be safe enough in our lives to do the deep work. And the reason why it matters as a collective is because the second law, all is one. Whenever you meet and release your fears, your shadows, you do it on behalf of the collective. You create the conditions of change in the world, okay? So for those who volunteer, those are the conditions that I would ask. And if you come and have a session with me, or if you work with any of our graduates, they'll give you a very wordy disclaimer that asks you to acknowledge that all of those conditions are in place in your life, because this is deep work. And we don't take it lightly, but it is profoundly safe work when you're doing it from that lens that we work through, which is that trauma-informed lens, which is an understanding of what is appropriate and how far to take someone, right? So in your own life, if this kind of work calls to you, but every time you go into it, you start to freak out, just recognize you're probably living in chaos. You're probably not doing your devotion. You're probably not eating well or getting enough sleep. You're probably toxing, is that a word? Your system in ways that mean that you're constantly pumping cortisol and adrenaline around the body. And you got to decide, am I willing to do the discipline, to do the work, to create the conditions where I can be that energetic leader for others and release that fear from my own system in order to release it from others? Before we jump in, any questions, thoughts, reflections? What's exciting you? What are you like? Yep, got it, know it, love it. I know some of you are deeply immersed in this work. Anything anybody wants to share? All right. I'm going to take that as a really good sign. Okay. He says, oh gosh, go away, little thingy. Okay. Yeah, I love the shadow work. Thank you for safety first. Yeah. And for those of you who are part of the Institute, you'll know how important it is for us to behave ethically. A lot of harm can be done in the spiritual world unintentionally and sometimes intentionally because there is not an ethical foundation, right? That we will very often not be providing those conditions of safety. One of them, of course, that's primary to all of this is consent. We really need to have informed consent. So, for example, if you come and do a method session with me, and someone here today will win a method session with me, which would be super cool, you will receive that disclaimer. We'll ask you to read it. But then even at the start of the session, I will describe to you in detail what's going to happen. So you have that informed consent, right? As I move through a session, I'm constantly evaluating through both intuition and my clinical reasoning, your capacity to receive the work and making choices to support and scaffold you so that we don't take you too far. One of my other tapping teachers, Mitch Gainey, who is just a wonderful man, says, only go as fast as the slowest part, which I think is a beautiful way of understanding true healing. You know, there is no healing without meeting and releasing subconscious fear, without going into the shadow. Everything else is window dressing. We can treat the symptoms of the body. We can treat the symptoms of, you know, the mental health crisis. We can treat anything. But if we are not going to that subconscious basement and safely meeting and releasing fear, then we are missing the storyteller of those symptoms. Does that make sense? And those symptoms will just have to pop up in another way because the storyteller is still sitting there telling the story. Yeah. All right. Should we have a little look? And by look, I mean, all right. So, as I've mentioned, I would love to have volunteers to receive what is the first part of our process where I will identify your dominant negative self-belief, the shadow that is the dominant storyteller, that I am best able to serve you to surrender in the safety of this container right now. When I say I'm best able to serve you, because it is an energetic exchange, I'm not doing this to you. I am doing this with you. So I will release with you what is also best for me to receive, to release, right? All is one. I'm not serving Leonie. I'm serving me as Leonie, right? We are one. There's only one of us here. There's only one consciousness. So in our paradigm of work, we don't see or perceive the other. It's like, I am serving you through another body. I'm serving me through another body. And that humility of, I'm going to do this to you because I've got access to stuff you don't, because I'm like more connected than you, is like the greatest injustice of the spiritual world, like the spiritual hierarchy. It's like, I am here to serve you. Yes, I'm in charge. I'm going to keep you safe, but I'm doing it as an aspect of me because all is one. So that is what will happen. You will have your eyes closed. Each process is only going to be about 5 minutes because I'm only doing that first part. And it is entirely safe for you to meet this fear. I have set the energetic container. You are here not only with me, but with some pretty big kahuna powerhouse energy beings who I know are also holding the container. But also you're here, and if you are willing to receive, by your own inner authority. You have absolute control and consent. And I will not be taken deeper than you give consent. Not from the level of the reasoning conscious mind, but from your subconscious. Does that make sense? Right? So often in our intuitive work, we'll be afraid that I'll see something my client's not ready for. It's like, if you're grounded in this ethical foundation, you will never be able to go further than what the client is ready to receive. That is the law. This law is self-protective. Yeah. And it's very important that we're anchored in that. I will name the fears as layers. So we'll start at a certain layer and we'll go deeper. And what happens for me as a clairsentient is I get a feeling state where it's like I hit the bottom. So I'm like, boom, I can just feel I've gone to the deepest level, right? And I will speak that out loud, and then I will repeat that. You are entirely capable of doing this for yourself. So what I'm going to demonstrate today, I will then give you a practice. I'll send it out to you called the micro method, where you can do this for yourself. So whenever fear rises, you can do the same process of like, okay, what's deeper than that? What's underneath that, right? I'm angry at my husband for putting his socks on the floor again and not cleaning up the house. And then you go into the fear and you realize actually at the bottom of that shitty feeling is fear of abandonment, right? And then we can lovingly work with that. So this is an entirely replicable process for you to work with for yourself. But I just want you to get a demonstration of it as we use it in the Institute now. The final thing I'll say about that is that there is no fortune telling, forecasting, future prediction in the way we train intuition in the Institute, because we work from a quantum physics perspective, which is that every time we meet and release fear, we change our future timeline, right? There is no predetermined future. Everybody has capacity to evolve the way that they awaken. And we consider it black magic to take someone else's power. So even though I'm going to be doing this for you, seemingly, it is absolutely energetically an exchange in which you are serving me and I am serving you. And you, those again who hang out with me and not a lot, will know I'm very reluctant to do this often, because I never want to create a perception in anyone's mind that I'm doing something that you don't have the power to do. I'm doing this simply as a demonstration of what you can do, what many of you here already do, not I'm special and magical. I have trained hundreds to do this work, and never has someone not been able to do it, because intuition is a tool that simply needs to be trained if we want to do it at the deepest level. And the deepest level is meeting and releasing subconscious fear. Everything else is just noise. Because if you do that for another, with another, they increase access to their own intuition. And that's the thing. That's what we want. We don't want to go to people to tell us stuff. We want to empower people to be in their intuitive intelligence. Okay, enough of my TED Talk. Who would like to receive an evaluation? All right. Oh, beautiful, Jordan. We will start there, and then Cecilia, and then Leonie. All right, Jordan, I'll just get you to unmute, my darling.
Yep.
Hello, lovely. I'm just going to just affirm again that I have your consent to access your subconscious.
Yes.
Beautiful. And just checking that you're safe and relaxed in your body and in your environment. You won't be disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And just, just checking again, not drunk right now.
No.
Awesome. Thank you. I've that decision at 9:30, or wherever you are. But again, the reason I ask that is quite serious. We need to make sure our clients are safe and that they're not in an altered state, right?
Yeah.
All right, my darling. So I'm going to invite you to just close down your eyes if you're safe to do so, or you can soften your gaze. And know that I and every person here is here in support of you. There is so much love. I just want you to inhale through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. Just letting everything go, knowing that you are so safe right now. I'm going to identify now your dominant negative self-belief stored in your subconscious. And the fear has layers. And I will speak the layers out loud until we reach the deepest level. And just know that in speaking fear out loud, we're actually altering it, we're lightening it, we're releasing it from your subconscious. I am not good enough. No matter how hard I try, I am never good enough. There's an impossible standard I'm trying to reach, and I never get there. I am not good enough because I missed out on something that other people got. I am missing something that other people got. And I don't know how to get it. And I'm afraid that it's because God forgot me. I'm not special enough to be noticed by God. I'm afraid that I've been forgotten by God. Your dominant negative self-belief is, I am afraid that I have been forgotten by God. All right, man, I'll just start tapping on the side of your hand. We can all do this as well. Really receiving the benefits of what Jordan is so graciously and joyfully releasing. And as you tap, my darling, I'd love for you to breathe again in through the nose as deeply as you can, feeling the belly. Retain that breath, let the prana, the life force build, and then as you're ready, exhaling out through the mouth with a big sigh or a shush or any sound that wants to come out. And when you're ready, you're so welcome to take your time, but whenever you're ready, opening up the eyes.
Thank you.
Is there anything about that experience you'd like to share with us, Jordan?
At first it was funny because it's like hearing that inner voice, it's always there throughout everything that you do. So it's like funny because it's not something that you say to yourself, it's something that is always there amongst everything you do. And then you said something in the middle that just felt like deeper, that I went, oh, what's that? And then you said that thing about being that fear of being forgotten, and something that I felt but I don't think. So yeah, that was what happened inside.
Yeah, thank you. And such a beautiful description of exactly what's happening, right? So there's the known fears, and then there's the subconscious basement, which is almost always unknown to us, right? And the fact that you got that bodily sense, like you could feel as it was going deeper, and that recognition that it was beyond the mind, right? But sitting in there. And yeah, you were shifting the energy so beautifully as we were doing that. And even in just articulating it from this higher level of consciousness, you might feel a lightening of the load. What I'd love you to do, and anyone else that receives today, is just spend today remembering to tap, remembering to breathe. And as I said, I'll send everyone the micro method, which is the self-led process that you can do. But even that in itself, especially because we're connected to this incredible community, will have shifted that energy up and out, right? Without having to go through a trauma, without having to have a really terrible experience, without waiting for something to go wrong, right? How good is that?
Yes.
And your intuition is increased, and that will be evidenced over the coming days. No matter what your relationship with it is, you've made more space because the subconscious is that gateway to your intuition. Little clap for Jordan, please. You're amazing. Thank you for your willingness. I know it's a big deal to be witnessed in this way, but I hope you
Yeah.
feel the love from everyone here. All
Thank
right,
you.
Celia, my darling. So lovely to see you. Oh, I can't hear you, but that's all right, as long as you can hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. All right, my darling. So I, again, just going to affirm that I have your consent to access your subconscious.
Yes.
Amazing. And you can close down the eyes or soften the gaze, whatever feels right. And again, just remembering that we're all participating in this at every level because there's only one of us here. So there's a shared energetic exchange taking place. And let's just take a breath together now, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I'm going to identify now your dominant negative self-belief stored in your subconscious. And this fear has layers, and I'll speak the layers out loud until we reach the deepest level. I am angry. I am angry at God. I am trying so hard, doing my part, and I am feeling unacknowledged for my effort. When will it be enough? When will I be enough? I can feel this power, this bigness, this mission inside of me. And I can never do enough to bring it forward into the world. And I'm blaming you, God. I am angry with you for getting me all excited about a mission that I can't realize, an importance that I can't seem to activate. I am angry that I will never be given what I need to fulfill my purpose, my mission. I'm afraid that I will never fulfill my mission. Your dominant negative self-belief is, I am afraid that I will never fulfill my mission. Just start tapping on the side of the hand, my darling. Inhaling as deeply as you can. And exhaling with a sigh or a shush, letting go, letting go, letting go. As you're ready, maybe rubbing the palms together, just taking your time to open up your eyes. There's no hurry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything about that experience that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, that was spot on. Like working hard, like why is this not happening? Angry, resentment, like immediately that like this bubble burst inside.
Beautiful work. Oh yeah, that was a lot. I can feel it. I'm so grateful for you letting us support you to move that energy. And it does feel like it's on the move, which is awesome. I want to just affirm again, the reason that this information is available is because of that consent and willingness and active partnership with the person I'm serving, right? Yes, I've done it a lot, and therefore there's confidence in accessing that, but it isn't special what I'm doing. It is based on that ethical consent. It's based on the quantum nature of reality. It's based on exchange and permission and the fact that fear wants to be released. Okay, so this work needs to be trained to be able to serve in this way, but it isn't special. It's just a decision that you make. And when you make that decision, everything changes because this is your highest form of intelligence. And fear is the only problem and the only solution. There is no other form of healing. There is no other use for intuition other than moving through fear with another. And I mean use of intuition in service to another, right? We should be tapped in all of the time to our intuition. Like everything should be part of that intuitive flow. But when we're serving another, meeting and releasing fear, in my very strong opinion, is the only ethical use of our own intuition. Otherwise, we're taking someone's power. Yeah. We want to support them to increase access to their own intuition. Again, Cecilia, I will be sending out the micro method, and I know you have a lot of wonderful tools to use as well, but just tend to yourself. You know, it is big work. We just want to tap, breathe, just keep whatever intuition you have to tend to yourself today. All right, Leonie, our final volunteer. Hello, gorgeous. So just affirming, my darling, that I have your consent to access your subconscious.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay. So as you're ready, closing down your eyes and softening your gaze, whatever feels right for your body right now. Let's just breathe together, inhaling through the nose, letting it go out through the mouth. I'm going to attune now to your dominant negative self-belief stored in your subconscious. And the fear has layers, and I will speak the layers out loud until we reach the deepest level. What is it all for? 1 step forward, 6 steps back. I know Leonie quite well, so I know I can be quite playful with her, but there's a voice in here. It's like, don't they know who I am? Like, it's this sense of like, and it's, I'm going to speak a little because I know Leonie can hold her state while I do this, but it will often be the case that you'll get themes when you work with people over a day, or we're working in a group and we're on a particular theme here with different energies to it. But this is like, it's like there's this failed promise. I was promised so much more. I'm here to change the freaking world. Why are you making it so hard? Right? Like, I should not have to work this freaking hard because I'm here for you, God. So why is this taking so long and moving like molasses? Like, do you not see me showing up like every freaking day? And there's this, again, this very strong theme of like, I know why I'm here, and I'm here for you, God. I don't have any doubt about that. I'm here to ease suffering. So could you just like give me a break. Could we just not make this a little bit freaking easier? And there's a playfulness and a lightness, again, as I can speak to Leonie, having known her for so long, but there is a real, like there's this deep well of fatigue and resentment and like sinking into like a sinkhole. There's this fear, this terror that you will run out of time, energy, resourcing if you're not thrown this lifeline. So there, even though there is that like sassiness that is so you, deeper than that is this terror that it will never, like it will run out. You will run out of what you need and be sucked into this thick, gooey mud, like just, and there is some grief here, my darling. It was never meant to be this hard. I wouldn't have signed up to come back if I'd known it was going to be this hard. And there's yeah. I'm afraid I'm being asked too much and being given too little. And more than that, like this, I don't know why. Like, use me, let me be what you sent me here to be. I'm afraid I will run out of everything before I do what I came here to do. Your dominant negative self-belief is, I'm afraid I will run out of everything before I fulfill what I came here to do. Just tapping here, my darling. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling. Taking your time. No hurry. Blink open the eyes whenever you're ready. Thank you, sister. Thank you, everyone, for being such beautiful, not just witnesses, but creators of the container, right? So we don't talk about holding space in our work. We talk about creating space, and that every one of you being here made this unique experience possible, right? That we're weaving our energies together. And thank you for letting me be the demonstrator this time. There's a number of women here. I could have got to do it as well. And I love doing this work. I love being of service in this way, but I just need you to hear it again. It's not magical or special or because I have something that others don't have. It is a learnt skill when we make the choice. And it is, as I say, the only ethical use of intuition, in my opinion, when we're serving others, is to do whatever it takes to increase access to their own intuition. We are our own oracle. And that's the holiest and most sacred use of our intuition. And every time we can scaffold someone and create the conditions for them to safely release fear, they increase that access, and then they can offer that to the collective consciousness. So we create that ripple in the field. How's everyone feeling? Yeah. As you've witnessed, you've received as well. So don't be surprised if stuff comes up for you today as well. Like, as meet it with love, with curiosity. Let's all just tap for a few moments here or here if that feels right. And if it doesn't feel right to tap, you can just place the hand on the heart or press the point. Just honoring yourself for what you made possible for everyone else here and those who watch back. And please feel free to check in with me at any time. I'll send out the recording. I'll let you know who's the recipient as well of not just some time with me, but also a place on Spiritually Fierce, a place on Superconscious Intuition, my 2 programs, and some books as well. So as I said, this is a big present giving day because it is part of our 10th birthday. So I'm really grateful for you being here. And I can stay for a little longer to answer questions. If you need to go, I completely understand. And yeah, just stay in touch. This is the work of the Institute. This is the work of the method. We are beginning another intake in September online. It is life-changing work, and it is such a privilege to do it. And it is all within our capacity. So I'll send you information about that as well. But yeah, very happy to answer questions. Thank you, beautiful Leonie, for all of your love, and to Cecilia and Jordan for letting us serve you. But yes, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions or anything that's come up for you if you want to stick around. Thank you. You beautiful. Oh, Karen, have you got a question, my lovely?
Yeah, question, comment, or whatever. But you know how you said that the facilitator can only take the client as far as the client is prepared to go, but it works the other way too, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you haven't prepared yourself as the facilitator, like through meeting your own fear, you won't be able to go as deep as you would otherwise. Yeah, absolutely. And you can feel it.
The depth of the vessels involved.
Yeah. But we often think it's only like one or the other, right? But actually,
that's the traditional dynamic that we buy into.
Yeah. And it's, you know, with the client's readiness, it's often the subconscious readiness, the willingness to let go. You know, if you meet someone who's very connected or committed to their stories, they won't necessarily, they might hear it, but they won't receive it, right? And this is, as you know, as a graduate, this is energetic work. The words are just a lovely distraction for the ego. We've got to keep the ego entertained, right?
Yep, thanks.
Thank you for that. Hey, Rachel.
Hello.
Hello, Joanne.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Oh, good. I'm interested in having a session with you, so I'm just wondering what you